Alright, so this is usually regarded as one of the last good store brand vacuums made. Which, I mean, I guess, but whatever. A lot of people like these. I think they're alright. They definitely clean good, but they're rather heavy and bulky, but we'll get into that. You know them, you love them. The Eureka The Boss Smartvac. So, this is an older one than the red one I have. Um, I gave it to my grandma a while ago, and just recently I got it back from her and then cleaned it up after she moved into my aunt's house for reasons I will not disclose. So, yeah, it's all clean. Everything works as it should. It's got a Febreze bag in it instead of a HEPA bag because I do not have any HEPA RR style bags. But I will soon because I'm going to sell at least one of these. I don't know if it's this one or the red one. Probably the red one because it's a newer model. But at the same time, it's kind of just a game of rock, paper, scissors. So the story behind this machine is it was a trash find like a good few years ago. Man, I'm getting old. I don't even remember when I got this. But this tube for the hose was completely plugged with some kind of paper. I can't remember if the belt was broken or not, but something was. Can't remember if it had a bag in it either or not, but I picked it up, cleaned it up a little bit, but that was the time I had my red one, the dark red one, that when I tried to refurbish it, the clutch broke and I just tossed it because it was falling apart. So I tried to sell this one, but I gave it to my grandma because she moved into the house she used to live in before moving in with my aunt. And this was her main vacuum. I then gave her a Helix Turbo, a modern Helix Turbo for her upstairs because it was a decent sized house and she needed something else that wasn't so heavy to clean the upstairs. But yeah. So this served another person's house for a while before I actually gave it the tune-up it deserves. So, I don't know how many of you have had to deal with this, but I coined the phrase from myself, it's not a Boss Smartvac unless there are screw threads literally falling apart. Because these rear wheel screw threads really did not want to exist. I'm not kidding, you can literally see the super glue just barely holding on. But everything else seemed to be okay. It needs a new exhaust filter, but I think I have one buried somewhere. Trying to think what else. This didn't want to move, but now it moves pretty well. It's amazing what adding a little bit of grease to the knob does. For some reason, the handle release pedal had 2 springs in it. I'm not kidding. There were 2 springs sandwiched together, holding that handle release in place. And one is just hard enough on the feet. It was very dirty. Most Boss Smartvacs tend to get very dirty. But it still held up. The motor, I think it's the brushes, but the motor does squeak kind of mad. If the plug didn't come out. I have old outlets. I probably need to replace them sometime soon, or my dad does. Of course, they don't squeak this time, but when I used it earlier to clean this carpet, the motor brushes squeaked. I think these are pretty decent cleaners. You know, most Smartvacs have been recognized to be the last good machines Eureka made. Jeez, this one needs a new brush roll. But the fact that the air path is kind of all the way over here, I think kind of impacts performance a little bit. If an air path is more like centralized, it tends to clean better, especially on this edge over here. But it does clean carpets pretty good. You can see the groom lines, I'm assuming. When the groom lines are fresh on this carpet, they're easier to see than after they've been sitting for like 10-15 minutes. I've yet to actually use it on hard floor, but the brush roll stop I think does work. That sounds happy. Oh well. So yeah, it has decent suction and airflow. I like these wide tubes that go from the floor head into the bag because it's clog resistant. And also, I kind of like these switcheramas from floor to hose things because, excuse me, it sort of reduces the path to travel for dirt, so it's a little bit more effective at cleaning floors. Tool performance, I really haven't used the tools on any of my Smartvacs because the hose is kind of short and narrow, but tool performance isn't too bad. Motor could probably use some replacement bearings, but one of them is the weird 608 with the ridiculously large part number that, I don't know. But yeah, the bag capacity is pretty darn big. I think my grandma still had the bag I put into it when I gave it to her, and it was almost full, but it was been like 2 years, and that carpet gets really dirty, so the bag capacity is not bad. Although the bag dock, I'm not a big fan of the bag dock, because if you don't like put it in the bag in all the way on the 3 locking points, there is a chance that the bag will fall in and everything will get sucked into the motor. Of course, I'm aware of that as an issue with the bag dock and not the vacuum itself or the vacuum being bagged, but some children use that as an excuse of why bagged vacuums are bad. So if the bag dock was improved to be more like a kind of like levered bag dock, or some kind of like bag dock where you push it into place instead of having to lock it in to 3 places, then it would probably be better. But it's still not bad. The vacuum itself is pretty heavy and bulky, which I'm not a big fan of. Even though I'm in weight training, I still find these ridiculously heavy, but they do their job well. I'm sure a lot of you know that these clutches are known for breaking back here where the screws are, which you would think would have been an easy fix. You cut off the housing here, bar it across, maybe have some extra screws holding in, and then you have a metal clip go over this pivot point, but I guess that was too hard for them to figure out. So you have a metal clip over here as the pivot point and a plastic one over here as the pivot point. And the plastic one's pretty thin, so of course they were going to crack and break, and the fact they didn't solve that easily is kind of ridiculous, but whatever. At least this one and the one on my other Smartvac isn't broken, so I don't have to worry too much about them. However, you probably have to be extra gentle with these so you don't actually risk breaking the clutch. And also, this clutch is pretty worn out anyways, because, you know, apparently the brush wheel is supposed to stop in the upright position, but it doesn't with this, so I think that's a sign that the clutch is worn out anyways. But it does shut it off for bare floors, so it still works. Even though you heard me run this thing a couple of times, I'm still going to give you a demo of it because I like to do that. It is nice and quiet, which is nice. It does pull itself a little bit too, so... Yep. So it's not a terrible machine. It's not like the greatest thing since sliced bread, but it's not too terrible. I would definitely use this as a daily driver, although I'd probably be scared of breaking something, specifically the clutch, because of how some features weren't designed so well. But it's not a bad machine. It's pretty decent. So yeah. It's about, if I were to give it an out of 10, it would probably be a solid 7 out of 10. It is a good machine, but I like more basic machines like the Riccar Vibrance and the Sanitaire Force more. Oh yeah, speaking of Vibrance, I have a Vibrance now, but I'll show that in a later video. So yeah, that's my review of the Eureka The Boss Smartvac 4870 series, I think it is. Let me look. Yep, 4870 series. This one is a Type J. So it's 4870J. So yeah, I'm Jack's Vac Safety signing off, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.